Excellent. Thank you. So nice to meet here. I'm going to actually answer that question about what the future of e-commerce looks like, probably in a different way. I mean, right now we're watching perhaps the largest technology shift that's happened in the last 20 years, really since the birth of the internet. This is the most exciting shift that I have ever been a part of. And I think it's critical to understand this shift and its impact on e-commerce. To do that, so we're going to look back a little bit. You're all Europeans, and your history is so much deeper than ours is here in the United States. But I love looking backwards to understand what will happen in the future. I don't necessarily think that history repeats itself, but it does rhyme, and we can learn different things. By looking backwards, we can see and predict the future. My thesis today is that by looking at the shifts in technology, especially the shift in technology that's happening right now that I don't even know if a lot of you understand that's happening, we can also predict the new business models that will appear. Looking at technology, in the past is not a new thing. Anthropologists will look at ancient humans who were hunter-gatherers. When we invented farming, everything changed. The new technology of farming changed everything. From farming, we got civilizations. The technology of farming set the stage for being able to have what we have today, which is a modern civilization. In the last 100 years, there's been many technologies: the printing press, the train, of course, other things. But one of the most impactful technologies that was invented, the world-changing technology, was in 1908, the Ford Model T was invented. So 1908, it was invented. However, it took decades. It took decades for the car to proliferate. It wasn't until 1970 before the US government started measuring millions of miles driven. In 1970, everybody had a car, or every household had a car. Not everyone had a car, but every household had a car. When every household has a car, the world changed yet again. Farming, other things were invented, but when the automobile got proliferation, when households had a car, the world changed. And in fact, if you assume everybody has a car, what do you get? If every household has a car, what do you get? Well, you get some silly things like drive-in movie theaters. I like drive-in movie theaters. But you also get some things that aren't very silly, like the suburbs. We had a total reorganization of society in the suburbs that doesn't exist without the invention of the car. The invention of the car allowed suburbs to be created. In addition, we had things like Exxon became the largest company in the world. In fact, it became the largest company in the world until just recently as a oil and gas company. We have convenience stores. Again, that was invented. New business models created because of the car. We have strip malls. Just an incredible invention. And then we have a new business model that had never been seen before, which is fast food. Without the car, fast food, the whole business model around fast food and the whole industry around that wouldn't have been created. So let's understand how technology creates opportunities and how it many times changes the world. Let's move into the modern era, if you will. That's my premise, that technology changes the rules. Technology changes rules, and it creates winners and it creates losers by those that understand it. We started with IBM. IBM dominated for years in mainframe and then personal computers. Then we moved into the Wintel era of Microsoft and Intel. And now we're in the mobile era of Apple, Google, Amazon, Netflix, Facebook, FANG. They call it FANG. Facebook, Apple, Netflix, FAANG. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. That's the era we're in now, right? So we're going to understand how the recent technology advancements, just like the car, just like farming, how those have changed and seen advancements in the web epics or the web stories. So my name is Justin King. I'm chief evangelist for Salsify. I'm kind of the public face. I do a lot of speaking, and Salsify helps brands and retailers win on the digital shelf. That's a really, really cool thing to be able to say. We help brands and retailers win on the digital shelf. I've been in technology and in e-commerce for the last 25 years. I've had my own companies. I've been part of some of the largest companies and largest startups, from Endeca to other consulting firms. But as chief evangelist, I've been diving into the new era that we're about to enter, and it is really exciting. From 1993 to about 2002, we had the introduction, the invention of the internet. It's a technology, right? And it changed everything. In this time period, it was really about low bandwidth web traffic, right? Low bandwidth, limited hardware. We got real static websites. We started to see a little bit of e-commerce. We got new business models. PayPal, eBay, and Google. E-commerce became a thing. I built my first e-commerce site in 1999 for a chocolate company. And in 30 days, it had paid for itself. And I knew that I was going to be in e-commerce for most of my career. And that's where I started. From 2002 to 2018, as we introduced broadband internet access, we got new type of business models. We entered e-commerce and social media area. Then the mobile area, where phones had just the same amount of bandwidth as computers, right? That's where we are today. And we saw new business models like Facebook, Stripe, AWS, and then of course Uber. You might still think we're sitting in this era, but we're not. We are no longer in this area. We are in a different era. In 2009, the invention of blockchain. And if you are like me 5 years ago, I didn't understand blockchain and certainly didn't understand how it's going to impact technology, but it is a radical shift. Artem said that everything will be centralized into a single group of applications, and I couldn't disagree more. Everything will be decentralized. The move in the new Web3 era is about decentralization. We saw AI advancements and machine learning. We saw AR and VR. We're starting to see AR and VR metaverses be created. Blockchain being at the center. We have 5G for even broader expansion of the internet. And blockchain is converging into 2022, which is where we are today. We are in the new world of Web3. So let me ask you this question. If it was 1996 and you knew what you know today about e-commerce, what would you do differently? If it was 2007 and you knew what you know today about social media, what would your career choices, would they be different? What would you do differently? Probably a lot. And we are there right now. I'm going to give you the guidepost to say what is coming and how will you do this differently. I'm doing everything completely differently because I can predict the future, and I don't really predict the future. I just see a technology shift happening, and I believe that would change the world. So to understand this, to understand the shift, we're going to first understand blockchain. To understand blockchain, we have to first understand the old world, the centralized ledger. We all use centralized ledgers today, every day. The centralized ledgers are databases. I mean, the centralized ledger you see here is a mobster centralized ledger, right? It was written down. Then it moved to databases. They are central databases. And these central databases, by the way, created lots of business models. Facebook runs on a centralized ledger. SAP, Salesforce, QuickBooks, these are all centralized ledgers. But ledgers have a big problem. Ledgers can be changed, right? You can change a letter. What was one record now can be a different record. If someone has access to the database, access to the centralized ledger, it can be changed. Many fraud cases have been won proving that someone changed the record in the database. And they can also be hacked. Centralized ledgers can be hacked, right? We've seen that happen multiple times. So to overcome this, a thing called a decentralized ledger was invented. And this decentralized ledger is going to change how technology and e-commerce react forever. Decentralized ledgers are never deleted. They're only added onto. You can't delete anything. You have transparency for all the parties involved. They are signed transactions, which means you can prove and make sure that only trusted partners can submit transactions. And most importantly, they're not on a single database. They are many, many databases talking to each other, agreeing on what is correct and what is not. Many times, I'm not just talking about dozens of computers. We're talking about thousands and tens of thousands talking to each other and agreeing on what's true and what's not true. There's no one point of failure, so they cannot be hacked. Blockchain is a decentralized ledger, just a type of decentralized ledger. You can't delete anything from it. You can only add on to it, which creates transparency. Bitcoin, most of you have heard of Bitcoin. Most of you regret not getting into Bitcoin early. Bitcoin was the first use case of blockchain. Bitcoin has never been hacked in 12 years, although a lot of people have tried. The code is open source. It's simple to read through. You can read the source for Bitcoin. It's transparent. You can see what's going on in the entire network with just a browser, but it is decentralized. There's no single point of failure. Web3, the new era, builds on blockchain and truly is the new era. The internet started out in 1993. The internet started out as this amazing decentralized tool, right? Allowed individuals to participate. It was peer-to-peer, but it slowly morphed into a tool that's controlled by the giants. Amazon controls it. Apple controls it. Google controls it. Facebook and Netflix, they centralized it again. It was started off as decentralized and they centralized it. If Facebook doesn't like you, they can just cut you off, right? Enter the world of decentralized ledgers. No one computer can do anything or control anything. Cryptocurrency is a way of paying for things, but it's not owned by any one person. So let's talk about the kind of the eras. So these are different eras. From 2010 to 2012 is when the blockchain was invented. We've now moved into a technology-rich time that we're in today, where we have many different applications running on the blockchain. But a core concept that I want you to understand and how it applies to e-commerce is a token. So Bitcoin and crypto is a type of token. I can prove that I own the token. Nobody can print more tokens and cause inflation or deflation. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. There's 21 million Bitcoins. Nobody can print more. Like in the US government, when they don't have enough money, they just print more money, right? In your country, they do the same thing. You can't do that in tokens. A token represents ownership of something. Bitcoin represents owning a fraction of a Bitcoin. It can be proven and seen on the blockchain, and it can't be hacked. So what are the types of tokens? There are two types of tokens: fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. Fungible tokens, and by the way, NFTs is probably what you've heard about. Fungible, maybe not. Fungible tokens are tokens like Bitcoin. There are many of them. They all share the same identification and metadata. My Bitcoin looks like your Bitcoin. An NFT, a non-fungible token, is unique. It's got a unique identification, unique metadata, completely unique. The first major use case of an NFT is art. People selling their unique art. Artists can sell their art as NFTs, and the owners can prove that they own that. They can show you on the blockchain, I bought this NFT from this artist. I own it. You can copy it, but I own it. Beyond art, there are a ton of really exciting use cases. Collectibles is the first natural branch, like what kind of art fits under there, but the others are so much more exciting. Access. If a person has a token, if a person has an NFT or a token in their wallet, then you can let them in. So you can sell someone an NFT, and if you look in their wallet, because this is transparent, you can see if they own the token. If they own the token, you can let them into something. If a person has a token in a wallet, in case you don't know, because your blockchain is transparent, if you know your address, I can see what you have, and that's called a wallet. The wallet contains all of the tokens that you own. Wallets are replacing logins. In the Web 2 world where we live, wallets in the Web 3 world are replacing logins. No more usernames, no more passwords. Just connect wallet. My wallet says if I own the token, then I get in. If I've sold the token or given the token away, I can't get in. Wallets are replacing logins. No more usernames, no more passwords. For example, I buy a car, and the car comes with an NFT. It's unique to my car. It uniquely identifies my car. And I go online to an auto parts website. The website scans my wallet, identifies my NFT, and I don't have to log in. I don't have to tell them what kind of car I have. It automatically recognizes that NFT relates to this car. So it shows me all my spare parts. It shows me my service recommendations. It shows me my warranty. It shows me the value of my car. No login, just connect wallet. That is really, really cool. So here's a website that I built. I'm going to show you an example of this. This is a website I built called dpub.xyz. I learned by building. So I built this so I could learn how all this works. So I built my own use case. Here's my homepage. When I click this join waitlist, it asks me to connect. It asked me to connect the wallet. I just scan this QR code with my mobile phone that has the wallet, or use a Chrome extension to access my wallet. They can't take anything. They can't take currency out of my wallet. I'm just identifying myself. You can see that the wallet then is talking, and on my mobile phone, it says, hey, would you allow the authentication from Dpub? And if I click accept, my website automatically identifies them, looks for the token that I'm looking for. And if they own the token, it lets them in. It's pretty incredible. Connect wallet, no more logins, no more cookies. It's pretty incredible. Let me just give you a couple examples, then I'll wrap up. So there's some practical use cases for brands and e-commerce. If you give your customers a token, you sell them or you can give them access to something, a piece of content, a ticket to a real life event, early access to your products. The list goes on and on. If they own the token, which means they're a customer of yours, they're a fan of yours, you can give them access to something. A great example of this is a company called The Hundreds. The Hundreds is a streetwear brand of clothing. Bobby Hundreds, the president, wrote an amazing book about a decade ago where he said, my customers are my biggest advertisers. They walk around and advertise my clothes, but they never get compensated. That bothers me that they don't get compensated. This is what he said. When Web3 came around, he realized he could finally compensate his customers. He created a community owned by the customers and for the customers. To access the community, you had to purchase an NFT. It cost about $200. He created 10,000 unique NFTs, which were drawings of their atom bomb. He called it the Atom Bomb Squad. So these are different drawings of this. Each one of these is a unique NFT that people could purchase. The NFT got you into something. It got you into a community where the perks were amazing. If you like The Hundreds, you got all kinds of stuff by being a part of this community. The only way you could get into the community was to have this token in your wallet. In fact, the value of the NFT that they own shot through the roof because other people wanted in because of all the perks. But there were only 10,000 people allowed in. The value soared for the community, and the perks were amazing. Hundreds. The Hundreds now works mainly with this community to create new products. They have a community of true fans, and it's proven by the ownership of the token. Pretty cool. Adidas just teamed up with NFT collector named G Money. This is his Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is his NFT. Adidas teamed up with them, and they also spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on an NFT. They're going to be creating a metaverse together, and using his NFT. This individual's NFT that he bought for probably $200 is now worth well over $1 million. And Adidas is teaming up for them. In addition, something fun just to wrap up with, a group of us got together and we raised over $40 million in cryptocurrency to buy the first printing of the United States Constitution. It was at Sotheby's. It was a real life auction. We expected it to be about $20 to $25 million, but we raised about $41 million. A bidder outbid us for $42 million. So we lost the auction. But that was a group of us coming together in Web3, putting our crypto in together, crowdfunding the purchase of a major landmark document. So what do? Let's wrap up. If you're an individual and this interests you, this is what you do. And then I'll talk about what brands can do. Buy some ETH or some HBAR. HBAR is another type of crypto. You can buy some ETH. There's lots of explanations on Google how to buy ETH. You get a wallet. If you're buying ETH, you get MetaMask. If you're buying HBAR, you get Exact. OpenSea.io is the marketplace where you can actually purchase an NFT. It's fun to do. Just look around, find some music you like, find some art you like, find some photography you like, purchase something small just to see the process and experiment with it and understand this new world that we're about to launch into. And then a lot of this happens on Discord. I hate Discord, but a lot of this happens on Discord. So find a Discord server that you want to participate and join. For brands, look, this is a big opportunity, brands. Token access communities. I mean, think about the ability to give your community, give your customers, give your fans something in exchange for owning a token. They don't have to pay a lot for the token. It could be free, or they could do it for $25 or $150, doesn't matter. But think about token gating access to a community. And then think about an actual NFTs for physical goods. You can build your product and attach an NFT to it that has a unique serial number that you can identify from that customer. Some pretty amazing opportunities. So look, I think this is the start of something amazing. If it was 1996 again or 2007 again, what would you do differently? I think the new world of Web3, of decentralization, of tokens, I think the token is going to replace the website. I think tokens will be more important than the websites that you own. The tokens that I own today, I think, are more important than the websites that I own. If you knew that was coming, how would you deal with it differently? Look into this area, explore it, experiment in it, understand it, start small, but do something in this new world. It's coming, and it's going to change brands and e-commerce forever. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Justin. It was a great presentation, huge amount of interesting information, and I like your energetics very much. So there are a couple of questions to you. The first question, as I understand, how do you make that happen? People do not understand technology. They want simple things, and government is not interested in blockchain.
So I don't know what was the last part of the question?
So people do not understand technology. They want simple things. It smells like some kind of Steve Jobs saying those.
Yeah, in every era, right? E-commerce was really difficult in the beginning, right? E-commerce was really hard. It took a lot of technical knowledge to understand and implement e-commerce, and it wasn't very easy to use. But that's changed now, right? E-commerce is very simple to use. Technology was built to even simplify that further. Depub, for example, I built Depub because I wanted to simplify the whole Web3 world. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to explain it, make it as easy as possible. It's difficult to do. It's going to take time to make it simple. But where do you want to be when it becomes simple, right? Do you want to be at the beginning, or do you want to be at the end?
Yeah. So the next question. What is the craziest future for e-commerce you see? What's your most brave vision of it, considering Web3 just a step? So what is the craziest future for e-commerce you can see?
Yeah, I mean, I believe, probably not in the next 2 to 3 years, but maybe when looking 5 to 10 years out, I think the metaverse for purchasing goods will become one of the biggest things. So the metaverse is a virtual world. If you've watched Real Player One, that movie, they were in the metaverse, right? And I know that sounds crazy, but there is technology out there right now that people are building with using NFTs even, where you can go on into the metaverse using a VR set of glasses, go into the metaverse and purchase products that you're using inside of the metaverse, or that you're using physically at your home or at your house. I think the metaverse itself is going to, I don't like the metaverse. I don't like virtual world. So I'm saying this as someone that doesn't like it. And I don't want my kids necessarily doing it, but I think that's coming. And I don't think the metaverse being a real thing I think that's coming in 2022. The proliferation of it will take a couple years after that. So certainly the whole virtual world, it is a crazy, if any of you have stepped into some of this, there's a crazy amount. I mean, there's land being sold in these metaverses. There's ownership, there's rentals in the metaverse right now happening. There's a whole economy happening in the metaverse world, powered by the blockchain, by the way, because blockchain is decentralized. I also see Facebook and Amazon, these central ledgers, people running away from some of them because they don't believe in the centralization of things. They want it decentralized. Now the government is going to have a big problem, right? The government will step in. They will regulate this the best that they can. But the beauty of decentralization is you really can't shut it down. You can't shut down the servers because it's decentralized. You can shut down some of the access, but even the access itself is decentralized. I mean, the reason Bitcoin can't be hacked is Bitcoin's code, the software runs on the blockchain. So if you add to it, or try to change it, you can't change it. You can't delete it. The only thing you can do is build a new one on top of it, and that's easy to figure out.
Yeah, and if we speak about metaverse, there are already people buying houses, yachts, and others for millions and millions of dollars.
Millions,
right now.
Millions, billions of dollars was spent today already in the metaverse.
Yeah. So another question: how do you think will mobile apps win over web stores when we speak about sales online? Now we see a link, many brands create mobile apps for retail, for try-on, for chats. So how will mobile apps win over web stores?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to play out necessarily. I think web apps, I have watched web apps become more and more successful, especially over the last year. I still think there's value. I think there's value in not having to, as a user experience, have to find the app and click it versus go onto the web in a browser on your mobile phone and access it in the same way, right? So I see more of, I think what's going to happen is the browser and the app are going to become more integrated, right? Whether you go in a browser on your phone or on an app, they will be doing the same thing instead of two different experiences. So I see that more as an integrated approach. I mean, more and more browsers, more and more apps are including browsers, more and more browsers are including apps. inside of them. And I think that will be the bigger change instead of one or the other.
Okay, thank you. Will there be other questions to Justin?
Artem says, it feels like it, don't like it, but eventually will happen. That's exactly right. I don't love this virtual world. I love Web3. I love Web3. I don't love the virtual worlds, but I know it's coming. So we got to embrace it. You could not like social media, but it still happened. You could not like the internet. It still happened and changed the world. This is the same thing.
Yes, completely. It's like, where when mobile phones started to produce, many people said that they will have about 2-3 years because they are gaining cancer and so on. But they are still here, and they have their own progression. So I think the same will be with metaverse.
I think the better indicator is what is getting the most hate. If it's getting hate, you know it's going to be successful, right? Mobile phones, social media, the internet got all this hate, right? It's not going to work. People aren't going to use it, blah, blah, blah. Those are the ones that were successful. It's the ideas that people think are good that I worry about, not the ideas that I think are bad.
Yes. But I think that especially the government of Russian Federation will make huge moves to control metaverses, like they do right now with the internet.
I agree.
Yeah.
But the decentralization allows that to move, right? I mean, there is no because it's no central database. I'm not going to Facebook.com because I'm not just going to Facebook.com. I'm going to something that could be a moving target. It's really hard to shut down. In fact, probably impossible to shut down.
Yes. So thank you much, Justin. Thank you for your speech. I think we will meet in the future in other events.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Have a nice day.